Coming up on Mountain News this morning, we share the story of one woman in Johnson County who is celebrating her 22nd birthday after her parents were told she would die as an infant. And we take you to the Conley Bottom Marina, where efforts to rebuild after flooding and a fire have hit another roadblock from Mother Nature. Plus, as we enter the middle of winter, flu activity remains high, and blood centers around the country say it is impacting the blood supply.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. The time is 6:03 on January 14th. I'm Madison Pergram, and thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning on this rainy Tuesday morning. If you're trying to get up and just can't get out of bed, I understand. Let's go to Brandon Robinson. Brandon, we've been talking about it. I just wasn't expecting it to rain this hard. We've been hearing it on the roof.
Exactly. And here's the thing. It may be a little bit more intense than the original looked on models yesterday morning, but we did notice that it was going to be moving in overnight early this morning. So just be careful and watch out for that morning drive as the heavy rain continues to fall. The heaviest bands of rain now in a line basically from Pike County down into East Tennessee there. And you see areas that were worked over by showers and storms over the weekend, especially down toward Claiborne and Campbell counties, and then back up toward southern Floyd there, Knott County, Letcher County, southern Pike County, Harlan County, and right there in Middlesboro this morning in Bell County. Visibility is rough. So again, just be careful. Dense fog is forming, heavy rain is falling. Water on the roads, so just give yourself plenty of time to get around. A little bit of fog here in Hazard this morning outside WYMT. Temperature is kind of a contrast. Upper 40s, Hazard, Pikeville, Moorhead, mid 40s in Ashland. Everybody else in the 50s this morning. 64. Our rain chances will continue to be around for a while, but start to kind of taper off as we head toward the afternoon. Cloudy skies, though, I think linger for much of the day. We'll have the extended forecast coming up here in a little bit. Madison?
Thank you, Brandon. Well, this past weekend, a 22-year-old boy lost his life in a logging accident. David Thomas, also known as Bub, was from Knott County. WYMT's Katie Cook talked to Thomas's family, who says they still cannot believe what happened.
A close friend describes the moment as surreal.
When I got the phone call that morning, it was just kind of like a dream, like someone was joking.
The moment when you find out your best friend, son, or brother is no longer here.
He was our only brother.
David Thomas also leaves behind his 2-year-old son.
He took care of his family, and it's undeniable.
Friends and family still trying to make sense of it all.
He's just truly a great soul. You'll never find a soul no better than Bub.
Bub is what most people called him.
It's just going to be lost without our Bub.
Many people also remember David Thomas for his love of horses. They say he never missed a Knott County trail ride.
His group of friends have actually decided they wanted to try to put a memorial horse ride together.
But ultimately, David loved all things.
Now, I haven't heard one person ever say anything bad about Bub. He was just absolutely one of a kind, and we're going to miss him. We're going to miss him a lot.
Those who love him are now trying to fill the void of a life lost way too soon. In Knott County, Katie Cook, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, David Thomas's visitation is today and tomorrow at the Nelson Frazier Funeral Home from 6 to 10 p.m. His funeral is Thursday at 11 a.m. And later today, friends and family will join together to remember a grandmother and her grandchildren killed last week in a Bell County house fire. Visitation for Beulah Mullen, Sierra Cynthia, and Sean Posey is tonight beginning at 4. The funeral follows at 7, and all services will be held at Bell Central School Center. People can still make donation to Brooks and Durham Funeral Home to help cover the expenses. And Kentucky State Police are asking you to be on the lookout for a missing woman in Harlan County. Troopers say Shayna Newsom, pictured here, walked away from the Hope Center on Saturday. She was supposed to be at the facility under court order, and they say she's originally from Louisa. Anyone who sees her is asked to call Kentucky State Police. And in Tennessee, officials with the Claiborne County Sheriff's Office are asking for the public's help in the search for a missing teenager. Deputies say 17-year-old Zion Keeley Newhouse went from Lloyd Road in Speedwell, Tennessee on Saturday. They have reason to believe she is in either Granger County, Tennessee, Barberville, or Middlesboro. She was last seen wearing gray sweatpants and a black shirt. The 17-year-old is 5'2", weighs 88 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes. Anyone with information is asked to call the Claiborne County Sheriff's Office at 423-626-3385. And moving to Frankfort, lawmakers, teenagers, and health leaders are meeting to address the uptick in e-cigarette use by Kentucky youth at the Capitol later today. This comes after news of the state's first death potentially related to vaping on Friday. Ben Chandler with the Coalition for a Smoke-Free Tomorrow says the goal is to get folks fired up over what he calls the vaping epidemic. In 2020, he hopes to get more money allocated to the state public health department to help with prevention efforts. The coalition wants vaping products to be taxed too, and Chandler says part of the problem is many young users don't know the harmful side effects of the habit.
We have seen the number of high schoolers who vape every day more than quadruple in the last 2 years.
Chandler says the same can be said for the Kentucky middle schoolers. He says the coalition worked to get 94 school districts smoke-free in the last few months. And the Herald Leader reports that Kentucky is partnering with a nationwide texting service to fight teen vaping. The free service, This Is Quitting, began a partnership with the state's Department for Public Health back in December. It targets those between 13 and 24 and provides up to 9 weeks of supported coaching and texts. To enroll, text Kentucky to 88709. And flu activity remains high, and blood centers around the country say it is impacting the blood supply. Blood centers across the country are looking for donors with all different types of bloods, but right now there's a critical shortage of O-negative blood. This is the universal donor, and January is typically a low donation month for blood centers around the country. And locations nationwide are seeing a dip in donations because of the high activity flu season.
We also can't pass on any blood that's donated from someone who's sick because it's a recipient who already has a compromised immune system.
Now, centers nationwide want to remind everyone who can donate that it takes less than an hour, and 1 pint of blood can save up to 3 lives. The American Red Cross says it has also seen a shortage in their blood centers nationwide. And doctors believe one girl in Johnson County would only live days after being born. However, against all odds, the 22-year-old was happy to ring in another new year with her family. WYMT's Marianne Fletcher sat down with Abigail Coleman and her mother to talk about her rocky past and bright future.
Smile. Smile.
Abigail Coleman is full of life. And with a song on her mind, she does not care to sing a tune.
So very happy.
But around 22 years ago, many believed she would not be here today.
We knew that something was going on with her bones when we did the anatomy scan.
Abigail has autism and a rare disorder called osteogenesis imperfecta, also known as brittle bone disease.
So many people had given her up when she was first born. She was only supposed to live a couple of days.
But her mother, Sherry Coleman, says despite the odds, her 1 in 20,000 daughter never stopped fighting.
You know, so I let her be as independent as possible, and then I'm there to pick up, where she leaves off.
Giving everyone around her the strength and courage they needed.
In the end, as hard as each and every step is, it's worth it.
So between taking photos and driving around her wheelchair, it looks like Abigail is not going to slow down anytime soon. In Johnson County, Marianne Fletcher,
WYMT. Mountain News.
Well, Abigail and her family left yesterday for another procedure in Tennessee. In a southern Kentucky marina is once again dealing with damage. Crews at Conley Bottom on Lake Cumberland are cleaning up after strong winds ripped off some boat slip roofs and upended parts of a dock this past weekend. Nearly 1 year ago, the lake reached historic heights and flooded the campground bathhouse. Then in May, a fire swept through the restaurant, store, and office. Owner Fred Piercy is keeping a positive attitude despite all the trouble.
During all the storms and the fire and everything we've had, no one has gotten hurt, been injured. So that in itself is a number one thing. We're very thankful for that.
Piercy estimates it will take about a week to repair or replace the losses, and that work will take place while crews continue to rebuild the store, restaurant, and office destroyed by the fire in May. The new building is scheduled to be open by May 1st, with a new restaurant open by 2021.
Well, the raindrops will be falling on your head for sure this morning, so make sure you take your rain gear with you. You may not need it later today, but tomorrow you'll probably need it again. Let's take a look and see what's going on currently, or actually what's been going on the last few hours. And you see the rain building in, live pinpoint Doppler radar. Thankfully, the heavier bands trying to push out of the region for now, so that's some good news, but still around for your morning drive. Wet roads and fog will be around even if the rain is not in your area. Limited visibility across the region. Temperatures in the 50s for the most part. A couple of spots there of Hazard, Pikeville, Moorhead, and Ashland in the 40s. Everybody else in the 50s right now. Headlines: rain chances will continue along with those mild temperatures, but winter will return in a big way, especially as we head deeper into the week and the weekend. Madison?
Thank you, Brandon, and thank you for joining Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. Coming up, we take a look at how Kentucky lawmakers on both sides of the political aisle came together for a good cause. And at the University of Cumberland's costs for students are about to be a little bit lower thanks to one policy change.